But more importantly, she's a prostitute. Or she was a prostitute.
There's a question.
Yes, sir.
No, in terms of, you mentioned Jewish,
Yes.
but they were called Jews only after Israel, after Jacob.
Yes, but the point is,
Still daughter of Adam anyway, even if you look at it.
that is a good point. But in the context of what I'm saying, she's outside salvation history. Because when does she come in? She comes in after Moses, when Joshua is leading. What does the Lord say through Moses to Israel? Exodus, is it 16 or 19? So that thing Peter says in 1 Peter 2:9, you are a holy nation, you are a royal priesthood, you are chosen. That's nice thing that people like saying. You know it's from Exodus. Do you know?
Yeah, no, it's for the church rather than just for Jewish. So
Relax. The 1 Peter 2:1 is for the church. The Exodus 1 is for who? Which church? The Exodus 1 is for Israel. So what Peter is doing in 1 Peter 2 is he's telling you that you are now in the commonwealth of Israel. So that word for church, yes, in this context is the same. But the original place that stuff was said, it was said by Moses. I don't know if it was 16 or 18 or 19, one of them, I'm not sure. And the idea was Moses has been on the mountain with the Lord, and then he comes down and he says, this is what the Lord God says to you. I have carried you on eagle's wings out of Egypt. Thank you. Please read it.
You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on eagle's wings.
Thank you.
To myself.
Okay?
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant,
Yes.
you shall be my treasured possession among all peoples.
Yes.
All the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation.
Yes. Thank you. Now, that statement, who is it to? Israel. So the point is, I'm not saying that Rahab is not a human being, because everybody is from Adam, human being wise. I'm saying Rahab is outside the covenant. Because God made a covenant with Israel, not with Jericho. That was my point. So even the story that Kwan shared earlier in the sermon from Achan, Joshua 7, if you read those two stories, that story and Rahab's story go side by side. So when Achan and his family is killed, the following chapter, when they take Jericho, who goes with them? Rahab. It's substitution. The Bible is trying to tell you that the whole idea of bringing the Gentiles in, God already had it long time ago. It is just Jesus that comes and opens it and then calls people in. But the idea is God has always had a plan to bring the Gentiles in. What is Isaiah 60? Gentiles shall come to the light, kings to the brightness of your rising. All of that is true. And even in Isaiah, the Lord is saying, what I want to do, Israel, you are too small now. I can't do it for only you. I have to bring the nations in. So yes, she is a descendant of Adam. She is human, but she's outside the covenant. And she's in Hebrews 11 as a Gentile. So what did she have faith in? Because there's a high tendency she didn't have access to as much of the oral traditions that have been passed down from Adam to Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. But if you read that text, one of the things that I think the author says is, or the author notes, is Rahab says to the spies, we have heard of the stories of what your God has done. How he has brought you out of Egypt and blah, 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 blah. So when you come and you take this city, remember me. So even her faith was a reported speech. But it was true to God and his word. We have heard of how your God has dealt with these people. And it was true because everywhere they went, God was smashing people for them. As you see, he parted the Red Sea. He was cleaning people out so that his people would move. So Rahab's faith was in the manifest work of God. And she told the spies, come, I will hide you. When you go, remember me. And they told her, tie what? A red whatever on your door, balcony, whatever it was. But the point here is this. That mustard seed idea, if she could have faith in as little as something as that and be considered to be here, we will get to what it means for us now. Because all of this is to prove a point. The whole idea of Hebrews 11 is not to make you feel like, oh, Moses, no. He's going to prove a point. Because as I told you guys last week, Hebrews 11 comes after Hebrews 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, for a reason. It's one of the easiest passages. People just speak it and take it out of context. Why is it after those 10 chapters? Why is it even here? Why is it not just on its own, like Philemon, a short book, like the Acts of the Apostles, like the manifestations of the faith of the ancestors? No, it's here for a reason. So why is it here? So that's Rahab. 31. 32. And at this point in time, I think the guy is like, by now I think you should be getting my point. And what more shall I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon. Does anybody know anything about Gideon? Why is Gideon here? Gideon is the one who told the Lord.
He was the one who tested.
Thank you. He's here. And sometimes when I read it, I'm like, my guy, why are you here? What's Gideon doing here? Anybody remember any story from the Gideon story? Anything?
God asked him to fight the Midianites, and then he asked, like, will I get it? And then he asked for the sign for the dew to come
Yep.
only on the grass.
He
And
put
then
out fleece.
Switches his own
Yes.
request to everything around, and yes.
So when people do that, Lord, if you want me to do it tomorrow, let Gameli wear a black shirt. Gideon is the father of all those things.
But with 300, he went to face the whole army.
Sorry, I hear you, then I hear you, sorry.
No, but that's still faith. He went to face the entire army with just 300 men without any weapons.
Yeah. So I'm not saying he doesn't have faith. I'm trying to remind you of stories in the lives of these people. Because the fact that he's here shows he had faith anyway. Yeah.
It's just a list of judges, I think. Barak,
Yep.
Samuel,
And you know the funny thing, these are the worst judges. Yes, ma'am?
Is it because of Deborah?
No, Deborah is for Barak. Deborah is for Barak, not Gideon. Yeah, Deborah and Barak go together. Because Gideon is also... Now, the funny thing is this.
all of them doubted him.
Oh, yeah, they were a mess. Oof.
No, Gideon because he didn't trust. Barak because he wanted Deborah to join him.
Yeah.
Samson because
They all had their issues. They were all a bunch of misfits, like all of us. Like
Is that why he didn't explain their stories and just put them all in one verse?
maybe. But this time, I think he's like,
No one did.
you get the point. You get the point. You should get the point by now. Because the idea here, in my mind, I'm not thinking Gideon is like a very good example of faith. But he's here. And as he said, Gideon wanted to go with how many thousand? The Lord is like, there are too many. Reduce. And I think many people know that's how the movie 300, the idea of the movie 300 is from the Gideon story. So he says Gideon, and then Barak. As he has said, Barak is the one who told Deborah, if you don't go with me, I will not go. Like, bros. Seriously, man. Seriously. But
Pushing them like to go. I think what Deborah is.
Deborah is the one who came with the word from God. Like, has the Lord God not told you, or has he not approved you, or appointed you, or whatever it is? So Deborah has the instruction. Barak is to what? Manifest it or obey it. But he kept doing if you don't go with me, I will not go. And then Deborah then tells him, because of this thing, a woman will take the glory. Now, it could be her, it could be Jael, because Jael is the one who hits the tent peg into Sisera's temple. Samson. Samson is here. I said, that one, I don't need to say anything. You're already laughing. Samson is here. Whew. Jephthah that did not even know the law. Because he was telling the Lord, if you give me whatever you give me, the first thing that comes out of my house, I will sacrifice it. And his daughter came out first. And he actually sacrificed the girl. He's here. Okay, Musa's gone. It says, for time will fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, of David. Too many stories of David. When we do 1 Samuel, we'll talk about it, or 2 Samuel, whichever. And Samuel and the prophets. Now, listen to what it says next. Who through faith conquered kingdoms. Sounds nice. Enforced justice. Sounds nice. Obtained promises. Sounds very nice. Because he said some people didn't get the promise. Now, that's why I said we'll come back to this thing, which is you have no control. He does, you don't. You have no control over what promise, when the promise, and all of that. Obtained promises, stopped the mouth of lions, quenched the power of fire. Now, all these things you can think of people. So if you think of conquered kingdoms, David did that too many times. Enforced justice. Samuel at some level did that. David also did. Obtained promises. Now, when he says obtained promises here, I'm not sure he's trying to say that they actually did in their lifetime. Like all of them did. Because 2 Samuel 7 is given to David. And it's never fulfilled until Jesus comes. So it's not, the idea here is not that they actually saw all the promises come to pass in their lifetime. Not necessarily. Because we know 2 Samuel 7 is clear. Now, he might have thought it was Solomon, but we know it's not Solomon. Solomon at some level, but prophetically speaking, Christ. What's the next one? Stop the mouth of lions. Daniel, I guess. Okay. Quench the power of fire. The 3 Hebrew boys, I believe. So all these things he's putting here are not random things. He's writing those things with biblical history in his head. Because people just read that and think he's just saying like really nice stuff. No. Those things are biblical stories. In each of them is a story. What this guy has tried to do is, to a large extent, he's summarizing nearly the whole Old Testament. Because we said Genesis 1 was summarized in one verse, verse 3. The guy is a master with literature, whoever he is. Escape the edge of the sword, too many. We are made strong out of weakness, more than enough. Became mighty in war. We just talked about one. Put foreign armies to flight, day after day. Too many of them. Now, look at verse 35. Women received back their dead by resurrection. Now, so is it possible that there are some actions or activities that, as I said, is the offshoot of the fruit of faith? Yes. But you can see all these things are said as things you can see, but not in verse 2, where he says, for by it, women receive their dead back to life. No. For by it, approval, good report, good testimony. Now, these are some of the other offshoots of those approval, of that approval, whatever. Now, look at the next statement. This one is one of the ones that bugs me. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release. And they were doing that in faith. The author of Hebrews is trying to tell you that people went through very uncomfortable situations. And even at some point where it seemed like God was giving them an escape route, they refused it. And it's commendable. Paul will write a lot of times that I have this right as an apostle, but I will not use it. I have the right to expect this from you and expect this from you, but so that nobody would say, or by any chance the gospel would be belittled, I will not use this right. The idea is not always for you to be comfortable.